At Monday's opening of the annual Judicial Conference, Prime Minister Honorable Alan Chastanet called the development of sentencing guidelines a progressive step for justice. The conference, an initiative of the Judicial Education Institute of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, is being held from the 23rd to the 27th of July. The focus of this year's conference is the implementation of sentencing guidelines in September 2018 and training on intellectual property. In addressing the gathering of magistrates and judges, Prime Minister Chastanet expressed that sentencing is perhaps the most solemn function of a trial judge or magistrate. The Prime Minister encouraged flexibility while adding that this also demands consistency and transparency.
I endorse the comment that every crime and every offender is different. No two cases are ever the same, but the way a judge or a magistrate decides the sentence is the same in all cases. It is for this reason that our constitutions require flexibility in sentencing by granting to judges options in determining sentence so as to do justice in every case. But that flexibility nonetheless demands consistency and transparency. This is why the modern trend is to devise sentencing guidelines to assist judges and magistrates with their task.
The judiciary now benefits from pre-sentence reports, which include a victim impact statement and reports from prison officials. This, the Prime Minister noted, aids the judge or magistrate in imposing a sentence befitting the crime. The Prime Minister therefore advocated for more restorative justice.
Perhaps it is convenient to consider moving away from retributive justice towards restorative justice, where the harm to society and to the victim is central to sentencing consideration, and not the old tradition of punishing the offender to the exclusion of all else. Sentencing should not be mainly about punishment and vengeance. It should also be about admonition and correction.
The Prime Minister also raised the question of whether sentencing was serving society. Using an example of firearm offenses and the recovery of firearms, Prime Minister Chastanet stated,
"We know the firearm offenses are a bane of our respective societies and remain, especially when firearms used in criminal offenses remain unrecovered. Perhaps we may wish to consider whether a defendant declaring the location of a firearm or from whom he caught it can act as a weighty mitigating factor in his favor."
The Prime Minister also implored the audience to consider whether sentences reflect sufficiently society's abhorrence for an offense.
I would therefore invite the judiciary to consider whether they would support the idea of the jury in a criminal trial expressing its view on a possible sentence, especially in instances of capital murder or life sentences. We're also now faced with serious questions about sentencing for first-time nonviolent offenders, especially as it relates to cases of marijuana possession. When it comes to such cases, we again suggest more restorative forms of justice. Our government's efforts are being directed towards reevaluating the need for criminalization of marijuana possession. Our move toward decriminalization does not mean that people can use with impunity. Instead, it means that the possession of small amounts no longer lands the person with a criminal record or a jail sentence. Perhaps the courts in their own guidelines can make the necessary adjustments in cases of recreational use.
Coming in for thank yous were Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Her Ladyship Honorable Dame Janice Pereira, and all who contributed to the guidelines.
We are confident that they will seriously contribute to improving the administration of criminal justice in the Eastern Caribbean by reducing unlawful sentences and avoiding costly appeals. In closing, I believe it is important that we not only adopt these sentencing guidelines, but also monitor the results.
The Prime Minister assured the audience of the Government of St. Lucia's full commitment to the judiciary and to improving justice in St. Lucia. Reporting for the Office of the Prime Minister, I am Nicole MacDonald.